I'm back now in Denmark, back from San Francisco, and I really miss San Francisco. The weather there was so nice, and the sky was so blue, and it was just warm, and people were walking around in shorts, and even by the ocean or by the bay, it was so pleasant to be outside. And back here in Denmark, the sky is just so gray. I mean, we could see this blanket of gray clouds, thick gray clouds without a break in them. We could see this below us from the plane as we were coming down, and I was just looking at it like, really? Really? Can't you turn around? Can't you take us back, please? And I don't know, I just feel like the weather here right now at this time of year is really depressing. And it's definitely affected me since I've been back, and I don't really like that. I don't like being affected by the weather. And I don't like to feel depressed. And it made me think about the subject of depression in the context of going through this gender transition. That, I've kind of had a lot of depressing periods in my life. Some of them were longer than others, and some of them were more severe than others. But, it's been there. And thinking further, I watch YouTube videos about people sharing their stories, and depression comes up pretty frequently. This going through this transition is really hard. Like, life is hard enough. We have to deal with jobs and love and family and material items to make us happy, and culture and socializing, and not that stuff that doesn't all come naturally to everybody, and building that stuff is hard. And so to go through this transition where we basically completely turn all this stuff upside down and on its head, and sometimes we push it off the edge of the earth, that's even harder. And it's not fair. It's so hard that it's not fair. It hurts. It's so hard it hurts. And I think that a lot of trans people, a lot of trans men and women are really prone to getting depressed. I know this isn't the nicest or the most pleasant subject to talk about, but I think it's worth talking about, because I think depression's a serious issue for people that go through transition, and that why shouldn't we be able to talk about it? So the times I've been depressed, I was depressed right before I started my transition, and right after, because things in my relationship were just really hard before it ended, and then after it ended, and I had lost this person that I was with for 5 years, so it was really hard, and I just didn't want to leave the house sometimes, and I worked at home, so I didn't have to, so I became kind of a contemporary hermit, although I'd been a bit of a hermit with my ex as well, because we were having problems, and we were trying to shut out the world in many ways. I got over that phase, though. I started seeing a therapist, and that really helped. And I've seen this therapist many times since starting my transition, and I have found it so helpful to just be able to say stuff, get it off my chest, and get it out of my mind, and get someone else's opinion on it, someone that I trust. And so I highly recommend that. If you are transitioning and you're not seeing a therapist, try to find one and see what it's like to talk to someone, because it helped me. Now, after I moved here, I'd moved here because I kind of thought that it would be things going quickly, I thought that it would help move things forward quicker in my transition. And I got here, and I had to wait a while to get into the healthcare system So I couldn't really do anything with regards to transition until I was in the system. And once I got in the system, I went and explained myself and said, I've satisfied this requirement of the Harry Benjamin, and I've satisfied that requirement of the Harry Benjamin, and I'm ready for this step. I've done everything I need to do, and I feel ready. And they were like, well, we have to think about it. And they made me go home, and they mailed me a letter that said, actually, no, we can't help you. And they still don't consider me to be a real transsexual. And, besides being completely offensive to be treated that way by a healthcare professional, they were basically telling me that I was going to have to restart my entire process with an additional 1 year of real life experience. So I had to go full-time for a year before they were going to decide whether or not to help me with hormones. And after that, I was just so depressed, like it hurt. And I knew that I couldn't wait any longer, so I was almost self-prescribed, and I'm lucky I didn't have to do that. But I digress. After I went full-time, which was before being on hormones, that was a really depressing time too, because I wasn't self-confident. I was feeling like I was showing up to work as a boy in a dress, and it was depressing. It was hard to do, and I still had a lot of work to do and a lot of responsibilities to maintain at my job, and that was just such a hard time, and it was so depressing that I did what I had to do to cope with it. And I think that we all have our ways of coping with depression. And maybe some methods of coping are more destructive than others. But I'm not here to tell anyone what you should and shouldn't do to be happy. In fact, I want to share a story. Early in my transition, about a month into everything, so still very, very early, I was talking to my parents, and I told them, I got to think about this, and I got to think about that, and this could lead to this, but what about the other thing, and oh my God, what am I going to do? And my dad said to me, well, there's so much to think about, and you can't figure it all out right now. It's not humanly possible. So, all these things that are on your mind, keep them. Like, don't push them away and don't forget about them, but you can file them away in the archives of the back of your mind for a little while, and try to focus on answering the question, what do I need to do to be happy today? And so that's helped me so many times. Just that one simple thing that he said. And it's, incredibly wise, this advice that he gave me. And so whenever I will feel overwhelmed about things, I will try to step back, take a deep breath, think about what's really on my mind. And if I'm feeling upset, then, what do I need to do to not feel upset about this or to feel better about this? And I'll do what I have to do. And sometimes I have to use a second choice to cope. But I also feel like people shouldn't be afraid of kind of allowing themselves to feel depressed and recognizing that if they're having trouble coping with things on their own, if you've tried to cheer yourself up and it's been impossible, or you're just having a hard time, that maybe you need to share that with someone, and maybe you need some more help. Like I said, I'm not a professional, but I don't think that there's any shame in admitting that you're depressed. Just like there's no shame in admitting that you're transgendered. We can't do this alone. No, none of us, not a single one of us can do this alone. So to the friends and supporters, thank you. And please do your best to pull us out of the gutter when we get depressed. Or any person that's not transitioning, for that matter. If you get depressed, you need a little help. Ask for help. You see someone that's depressed, they need a little help. Give them some help. I guess that's all for now. I'll see you next time.